Today's book is 23 Things They Don't Tell You About Capitalism by Joon, Chung, and I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Today is the 6th day of Lunar New Year, and technically it's just the Chinese left celebrating, but I'm gonna give this Korean guy some love because he is calling BS on all of international economics in 2010 in a way that I think is highly important. In this period of time, they were making all kinds of advice for Latin America and Africa and Asia, but what they actually did was cherry pick pieces of Western economic history, told, and they picked pieces of Asian economic history, and Latin America and Africa bought it because they wanted the IMF loans, and Asia was like, yeah, cool, we're gonna go our own way and just not tell you. And in 2010, there's still not a lot of people calling BS. This is why I love this book. The first thing is that the free market is fiction. I mean, thank you very much, because my gosh, when I was in college, this got me shut down. What do you think immigration policy, bankruptcy law, child labor law, taxation, fiscal policy, what do you think that is? That is 100% the opposite of what free market is. Nobody has a free market. And I think in particular in the context of international, it's this idea that free trade is just flat out good. I mean, that just is bogus. Problem is, as long as we think there's a concept free trade and that's somehow amazing and the pinnacle, we're having the wrong discussions about what any country should do, what we should do as citizens on a voting perspective, and what we actually want to accomplish. The second is this idea that good economics is not necessarily good economic policy. And I love him for calling out his field because, quite frankly, there are a lot of countries that have suffered. If you're unfamiliar with this, read the story of Ecuador 98 floating its currency because the talking heads told him to do it. The guy that did it is still hiding at Harvard, from what I understand, because his people are so mad. Good economic policy still takes good leadership and thought and vision, and that may not agree with the academics. The thing that I don't totally agree with him on has to do with the chapter on making the rich richer doesn't make us richer. And I think it's something that he wouldn't have known by not being able to see the full extent of the China story in 2010. You have to actually make sure that every dollar taken from the rich is not just taken and redistributed. It has to be taken and then put into infrastructure that actually builds real opportunity. Now, he kind of talks about it when he discusses the idea of state-owned enterprises and the idea of like directing what it is you want the economy to do versus just letting the free market choose. We'll sometimes get stuff that isn't relevant for the longevity of your economy. But he doesn't come straight at it, which is just like take the money, put it in infrastructure, build yourself a 5G network, export the innovation that comes from that. No, that wouldn't have been seen in 2010. He doesn't talk about efficiency of government and whether or not when they apply those dollars, it actually is able to build the infrastructure. For example, the Second Avenue train took decades upon decades to build, massively over budget. In other countries that just operate a little differently, you're gonna build it like that and it's gonna add to the economy very quickly. Thank you to the New York Public Library for having this book. It's cold, I don't want to go outside. Also, please continue the work that you're doing to add diversity to the books on e-reader, especially in nonfiction. Speed reading stats. This book shows in Goodreads as 286 pages. I have it on Kindle and it does not show page numbers, so we're just gonna go with that. It took me about an hour to read it. If you care about that, come find me. Otherwise, thank you for liking, commenting, suggesting, forwarding, all of that good stuff. I super appreciate you. See you tomorrow.